UFOs. A UFO is an acronym for Unidentified Flying Object. UFOs have been in pop culture for quite a long time. The term first shows up in the 1940s and becomes synonymous with the term flying saucer, UFO flying saucer, when Kenneth Arnold, an Air Force pilot, flying over Mount Rainier in Washington State, sees a group of about a dozen craft looking something like these flying together in formation just a few thousand feet from his aircraft. He, of course, will do radio interviews, TV interviews in the coming days and weeks and help make the term popular. And his story is not alone. There's a lot of stories that for some reason do show up starting from around the 1940s. One of the most famous incidents being the Roswell Incident, which happened in the deserts or farmlands of New Mexico, where a flying saucer craft crashed in the desert. Air Force quickly moved in, and even though the local news initially reported that it was a flying saucer and that the Air Force was going to examine it and collect the pieces, the next day the government forced them to change the story to being just a weather balloon. But eyewitnesses and some other evidence, if you look into the situation, prove that it was some kind of flying saucer. More than likely, that one was some special top secret craft, military craft, but we can't be sure. So I pulled this up a minute ago. Flying saucers tend to take shapes of this. These are some of the more common shapes seen. And there's a lot of documentation. Let's go through some of the books here that show up. This one here is excellent. This is a very old book, but it documents several hundred sightings, very clear sightings, and different types of sightings of UFOs seen by people across the world in many different cultures and languages. One of the other types of sources you can get is organizational sources. The Vatican, the Roman Catholic Church, has an entire organization set up to deal with the possibility of ETs showing up, which ET is short for extraterrestrial, and extraterrestrial is someone who is off planet. Terrestrial is our Earth, and extra means off, so extraterrestrial, ET, that's that term. Our own government has an entire project set up by the U.S. Air Force called Project Blue Book, and a lot of that is documented in books such as this, where you can see from our own government records what the Air Force thought about UFOs and their attempts to investigate it. There are also books such as this, where scientists who used to work in these black projects reveal some of what they did. In this instance, we have diagrams where this Dr. Stan Deyo shows some of the work that he did on military top secret aircraft. He shows how these things work. And that's the cosmic conspiracy. All of these sources I'll be talking about will, of course, be linked in the description so you can check them out. If you want to go a little deeper, this book here by Trevor Paglen just deals with top secret bases, which would be, underground facilities, very highly classified places where our government and others would be doing the creation and the study of UFO technology. Area 51 is a popular one. In Australia, they have Pine Gap. Canada has their places. England has their places. Most of the Western world has places such as that. For the Christian, this book is an excellent guide into placing in your mind, where do humans fall, animals, angels, aliens, how does that all work? So this book on that subject is very helpful. But besides book resources are video resources. Of course, online you can find all manner of videos, including the recording of the day the military did their news briefing when the Roswell incident happened. I have an entire series here. It deals on a great many subjects, but one of them being UFOs and what people see, including some very strange encounters that people have, as well as some surgeries where they remove implants that people received after having a abduction experience. And while people can certainly be skeptical about UFOs if they've never seen them, or abductions if they've never experienced it, the fact remains there are thousands of people, and it's well documented, that have seen these things, that have experienced these things. And ultimately, it would be up to you to look at the research and to figure out what's going on for yourself. But some of these events are very well documented and seen by more than one person. For example, in the late 1930s, getting close to the World War II time frame, over Los Angeles, so a very large city, a battle took place where the U.S. Army opened fire on some strange lights and objects that showed up in the sky above L.A. This was called the Battle of Los Angeles. A very strange incident. It was reported in the newspapers. Many people saw it. Didn't know exactly what they were seeing. The Army obviously thought it was some kind of enemy craft and tried to fire at them, though they did report that their weapons didn't seem to have any effect. Even better, in 1993, on New Year's Day, Mexico City, in broad daylight, at about 2 p.m., Mexico City residents, which, by the way, Mexico City is one of the most populous cities on the planet. So all these people at the same time, this New Year's Day, 93, about 2 p.m., Mexico City residents report silvery metallic objects performing unusual aerial maneuvers above the city. Many observers document the occurrence with their camcorders. Local television and radio stations also provide coverage. So this is an example of many thousands of people seeing something all at the same time, documenting it, individually from each of their own perspectives. And then again in 1997, this time in America, in Arizona, over the city of Phoenix in the evening of March 13th, hundreds of people in Arizona observed a very unusual formation of lights that was well documented by video and eyewitness accounts. The incident created a flurry of speculation concerning the nature of the lights, with the most popular being extraterrestrial. The Air Force acknowledged the occasion with the explanation that the lights were actually flares. Problem is, and I've seen flares being in the military, flares don't make that kind of pattern. And you can look the video up for yourself. This exact object is seen flying over the city. These lights stay in their pattern. You can just see the outside edge of the object as it flies over the city. It's very large. To me, the most obvious explanation, especially with the Air Force trying to cover it up, is that it's some kind of top secret project, which the Air Force has documented, but doesn't want to officially reveal. And these things happen. One of the most famous top secret aircraft that we now know about, and it's real, but back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s was, it's not real, was the Blackbird. And the Blackbird, when you're looking at it straight on, kind of has a design that looks like that. Though from the side, it's long and pointed. But this aircraft that we now know about was considered top secret back then, and the Air Force would not acknowledge it existed until later on, once it became old. And even now, there's still some aspects of it, the paint and technology, that are covered up, kept secret. So this, in a sense, is considered a gray project. But fact remains, these points of data exist. What you want to determine about them, it's up to you. At the end of the day, there's basically 5 explanations you could give. 1, UFOs are military aircraft. They're real things. 2, UFOs are angels, both fallen and good angels. Because, of course, when the angels, according to the Bible story, when the angels left heaven, the ones who followed Satan, any abilities or technologies that they had before, they more than likely still have now. And there is a very good explanation, which you can find, again, documentation in video and in an article form online, and arguing that fallen angels have the ability to deceive mankind with these flying saucer shapes, these craft, and of course appearing as aliens. Third explanation is that these are actual aliens coming from other planets. I don't believe that that's true. I believe the universe was made for us humans, and that God's intention is for us humans to fully have fun and explore and build in this universe in the future. But that aside, the fourth explanation is that this could be, maybe there's no fourth explanation. We've got military craft, we've got fallen angel technology, we've got ET. Oh yeah, I guess there are just three. Anyways, there's all kinds of theories on what UFOs are. It can be fun to look into. Of course, it's very popular. I'm sure you've seen references to UFOs and aliens in all kinds of TV shows and movies, if you enjoy that kind of thing. But have fun researching. Again, all of these things that I reference will be linked in the description below.